So as already Mohammed told about, he covered a lot of things, but yes, the answer is almost the same. Like almost he want to explore regarding how DevOps works. So inside DevOps, there are multiple scenarios, multiple tools. Almost that's what we have to explore regarding them and how DevOps works along with Agile. So all these points which actually he covered are valid. So again, the expectations of everyone will be quite different. So for example, one person might have an XP or might have an expectation of going into DevOps and pursuing a career in DevOps. So yes, it is not about your expectations, but you have to understand one thing: DevOps is going to be one of the biggest evolution in the next 5 to 10 years. Already it started, and right now even the evolution, you can see the flow of DevOps as well. Lot of buzz is going on in the market. Even the what's so called as the market is very high compared to other particular tools. Even though in this pandemic, still there are a lot of jobs which are available, and even the big giants started hiring for DevOps engineers. So let us try to understand what exactly we are going to learn today and what we are going to get. I think already agenda will be shared with you probably. I hope so. If not, anyhow, don't worry. I will be sharing you all the content and what we are going to discuss today. And so yeah, we'll get an overview of how the day goes today. But I will go a little bit fast. I just want you to, because I have an introduction part inside my today's agenda, but I don't want to go inside the agile part and all, because already everyone know about it. I believe so. So anyone are from now non-IT background, or who are not at all into IT? Anyone in the call, or who don't know coding as well? Anything? Just they doesn't touch any IT part till now. Okay, that means I'm assuming everyone are at least working on IT right now, or a part of IT team some or other day. That's what I was assuming. Means at least you. I will answer your questions. Like you may lot of questions are there from my students, even as FAQs or frequently asked questions. Whether I'm an complete non-IT background, I don't know any coding, I don't know any scripting. Can I learn DevOps or not? So there are a lot of general questions which are being asked by a lot of my students. But yes, I will answer your questions. Don't worry. This presentation or this class will answer all your questions regarding DevOps and why you have to take DevOps, and specifically this course. Okay, so let us start. I think you are able to see my screen, right? You are able to see my screen. Yeah. So please let me know, guys, if you're not able to see my screen, or any voice issues or any network issues. Please let me know in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and you can tell me. Before going ahead, please please give me a confirmation in the chat box. You can find the chat box on your screen telling that you're able to see my screen and you're able to listen me.
No issues, Dave. I can see your screen, and there are
Okay,
no
cool.
networking issues, and it's
Awesome. Awesome.
loud and clear.
Okay. So anyhow, thanks for the confirmation, guys. So let us start. As I already told you about DevOps, right now in US market, this is what this is what the graph of the packages which are being provided to DevOps engineers with years as well. So you can see how it is exponentially growing and how the market is right now. If you are, if you have an experience of minimum of 10 to 19 years, people are paying you around 118K dollars. And even if you are having 5 to 9 years of experience, 1 or 2K dollars. So this is the market right now. This is an average market. This is not even the you cannot tell even the highest and all, but it is an average market which is going on in the market in the in the every organization right now. Everyone are expecting at least 100% hikes as well. The hikes are also getting very high for, I mean, the paychecks and all the hikes are every thing is going high in the market for DevOps engineers, especially. And if you are from India, basically you can see this is what the graph looks like for the people if you are considering the packages. So this is the quite good amount of packages which are being provided for DevOps engineers and senior DevOps engineers or DevOps consultants. So again, you may ask me now a question. So what is first of all, what is DevOps? So different people has different opinions regarding DevOps. Some people talk about Azure DevOps. Some people may talk about AWS DevOps. So there are different words which are being used in the market. So I just want to clarify few things before going ahead for the next classes. So today, what my agenda is already, I think if you got mail, well and good. If not, I will give you an overview of what we are going to discuss. We are going to discuss about, first of all, what is DevOps, DevOps tools, who can take DevOps, and what are the course we are going to cover in this particular curriculum. Apart from that, we are going to see one hands-on session, or we are going to see one small deployment. I cannot show you every single deployment. It will take around, for me, it will take around 20 to 30 minutes, but I will show you already deployed web logic or web application on top of an server. So I will show you that. I will just change some things and I will show you how that is being deployed using the tools with a quick summary. So that's what my agenda for today. And if you have any Q&A, or if you have any question and answer session, I mean, you can ask me in the middle. You can ask me in the chat box. I will be definitely looking into the chat box frequently. So than interrupting, you can ask me directly in the chat box. It's okay, but still I will be giving you some pause so that you can ask me questions in the middle. Now let us start quickly about again myself. As I told you already, I am Santosh Dev, almost having a 6+ years of experience in DevOps and IT experience of 10 years, teaching experience of 3 years. Around 300 plus students are being, I trained 300 plus students till date, and conducted 2 workshops on DevOps for college students over here. And even I worked for 3 R&D teams, and even almost migrated 15 plus projects, or I worked with 15 plus clients to migrate their projects. So with my experience, as I told you, DevOps, I have seen multiple kinds of clients. I mean, different types of clients. So you may listen about Azure DevOps, AWS DevOps, and DevOps. So there is a difference between these three terms and these three technologies as well. So DevOps, as in a normal, I mean, if you are seeing in a general view, there are some particular amount. I mean, there is a set of tools. If you are talking about Azure DevOps, that set is completely different. If you're talking about AWS DevOps, that particular set is different. Okay. So now, I mean, the names itself will make you clear. General, I mean, DevOps in a general way, it has something else. The meaning is something else. Today we are going to see that Azure DevOps is a combination of Azure with DevOps, and even Azure also has some tool set which actually replicate the same general DevOps tools, and even AWS also has some. Okay, so that is what these two, Azure DevOps and AWS DevOps, are, the sets are different compared to this normal DevOps or general DevOps. This general DevOps is having a lot of open source tools. So if you want an word, this open source tool is nothing but they are free of cost, and even the source code of the tools are available openly in the public. Okay, so in the public domains already this particular source code of the tools are being available. But if you're talking about Azure DevOps, if you're talking about AWS DevOps, they are not actually free. They are charged by their own I mean, that specific companies, or yeah, as you know, Azure charges for Azure DevOps, AWS charges for AWS DevOps and all. But if you're talking about DevOps tools, there are a lot of tools which are open source. One among them is about Jenkins. If you know about Jenkins, please give me Yes, I know. In the please send me a confirmation in the chat box quickly. Or you have here. I mean, you just heard about the name Jenkins at least. Just want to know from you as well, guys. I just want to tell you the session should be interactive. Please answer whether if you know yes. If you know that, please I mean confirm me yes. If no, please tell me no. It's okay. Even though you heard the name of Jenkins at least somewhere or the other, if you are somewhere, if you're in your organization, if someone is trying to make it DevOps way, definitely you may listen this word Jenkins a lot. Jenkins is one of I call it as the heart of DevOps. Basically, that is the major tool which you have to focus on. We'll see how it goes, but yes, okay. Some of us are already explaining. Okay, Sunil, yes, okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So yes, guys, yeah, that's what Jenkins is an open source, and it is, as I told you, open source means it's a free of cost, and even the code is available in the public domains. So yeah, as I told you already, we'll talk about that Jenkins and all in the any next classes. But yes, as I told you, agenda is been already been shown in on the slide. What is DevOps? Why DevOps? What companies are working on it? Who can learn DevOps? How we are going to learn after the course? What you can achieve? And apart from that, we will see one hands-on as well. So before going into that, I just want to ask you this question: If you want to, construct, or if you want to build a 13 floor building, if you want to build a 13 floor building, how you will start with? If you want to build
Foundation.
a, okay,
Foundation.
what's that from?
Yeah, you have to go from bottom up.
Okay, yep, bottom up, correct. It's a valid point. So we will start from the basement. We call it as basement over here, right? Yeah, base. Someone told me base, correct. So we are actually why I am discussing about this now. We'll
Mm,
start with the base of how this DevOps word came up and all. So for that, already everyone know about a concept called as SDLC. Anyone know about this SDLC? But if you don't know about it, very simple, guys. I'll just give an analogy over here. So if you want to buy a car, so if you want to buy a car, let us assume it is Ferrari. Okay, it is Ferrari or Lambo. It can be anything, but just assume that you are going to buy a car. Okay, so how you are I mean, what is the first step before buying the car, and what exactly you will actually think to do whenever you want to buy a car? What is the first step you'll do? Once you got an idea of buying a car, what is the next step you will take
I
to
would
buy
say
a car?
budget. Budget is the one of the first things to consider.
Okay, so you will plan accordingly, right? According to your budget, according to your taste. So all this you will sit, first of all, you will understand what are your requirements are, what exactly you want, which color you want, which company you want, which has the best performance in the market, which is under your budget. So first of all, you will understand the requirements of what you want. Okay, so next is about planning. So now you will sit and plan how I can buy this car. So whether to directly go to a showroom or go to a dealer, and can I go to a second I mean, or the used car. So how you will do it? So first of all, and then next is about sitting and understanding the plan, how you are going to approach. So next is about what is next. You have planned to buy. Now next, after planning, you are already decided to buy one car. Then what you will do? Right now, what you will do? You will go to a showroom or you will go to a dealer, and you will ask him, boss, I want to drive this car. I want to go for it. I mean, at least can you go? I mean, can you give me a test ride? Right. So first you will execute your idea. Okay. So now, yes, someone told me approach the dealer. So we will execute the idea of buying a car or developing an idea. It can be anything. So we'll go to a dealer and we'll talk to him. We'll go to a showroom and talk to him, and we'll execute the idea of buying a car. That's what the next step. So after that, you will ask a test drive. Boss, I want to go for a test. I want to test the car and I just want to see how the car is, whether it is suitable for me or my height, whatever. You will ask a test drive. Obviously, he may give. If he gives, yes, you will go for test. After that, if you like, then you will, use or you will buy the car. Okay, this process is about buying a car or taking that car into your own garage. Okay, so once that is done, next what is the next step?
Maintenance.
Exactly, perfect. So you have to maintain that car. Like it's not like buying a car and just keeping with you. You have to maintain that car. You have to go for service. You have to check the petrol, and there are petrol, diesel, whatever, gas or whatever it is. So you have to maintain that car. Okay, if you're not maintaining it, there is no meaning to buy that car, because
Yeah.
yes, it's not about buying a car always. The buying of, the cost of car can be high, but the maintaining that car is very difficult. This is the biggest challenge of lot of people. So just very simple, guys. Why I gave this analogy is, I just want to again tell you about the SDLC. So if you see the SDLC is nothing but software development life cycle, the same cycle which we have talked about: the kickoff, requirement gathering, analysis, design, development or execution, testing, deployment, operations and maintenance, again project kickoff. So whatever we discussed in the way, or when how you want to buy a car, the same things are being repeated over here, but the way is little bit different. So here we call it as SDLC, software development life cycle. There we are just talking about how to buy a car. So the topic is different, but the way of doing it is always same. Even though if you want to construct a building, the same way. First of all, you have to have a understanding of how you can. First of all, you have to get an idea of construct a building. Then planning, requirement analysis, planning, designing, development. So these all the steps in the general way we can understand this, but in technically this is also called as software development life cycle. If some people doesn't have any idea about SDLC, well, it's great, but you got now you may relate this completely with what is SDLC. So why I just gave about SDLC. SDLC has some models, guys. I don't want to go quick. I don't want to go inside them. SDLC, again, the SDLC which we are talking about, the software development life cycle, we have some models in that: waterfall, iterative, spiral, V, big bang, rad, prototyping, and all are ones. But in that, most used right now in the market are about waterfall and agile. So I don't want to again go deep into that particular models and all, because everyone know about them, because everyone are working in that. So can anyone tell me which particular model you're working in, waterfall or agile? In chat box, please, guys. Quick in the chat box. Agile. Okay. Jayesh Patel tells he works in agile.
Waterfall.
Okay. Waterfall. Oh, Na says that none. Awesome. Okay. Agile. Sunil says agile. Okay. Cool. So I think yes. Again, as I told you, these two are the most. These waterfall and agile are the most used models, are been already are already there in the market. So here you can see a picture where it will explain you what waterfall is. It's very simple, guys, how a waterfall looks like. So one step after the other, you can see that the same way here, how waterfall looks like is very simple. We have seen the SDLC life cycle. So the after completing of one step, it will come to the second. After completing of second, will come to the third, fourth. After completing of fourth, it will come to the last step. So in this way, how your waterfall flows from one step to other, how water flows from one step to other, that is how this waterfall model looks like. Okay, so here again there are some disadvantages with waterfall. That is about the time constraint, because if you what happens if your product has been completely if your the product is completed by the end of this particular SDLC, again if there is probably it will take around 2 years or 1.5 years to complete the product. In the meantime, what happens is it may be good or it may be bad, or if the features are not exactly to the standards of market, or the client is not happy with whatever you have given. So again, if you want to restart your particular product, you have to start it from scratch. Means again, you have to start it from the requirement analysis, design, implementation. Again, it will take a lot of time to actually start this process. So I'm just going in an general way and in an easy terms, guys. I don't want to go inside them, as I told you, because we don't have time to talk about all this, because we should focus on DevOps. Before going into DevOps, just want to give an overview about it. If you are not from IT, okay, just remember these terms as waterfall model, how by the using this analogy of this waterfall example. So that is what a waterfall looks like, and this is the major disadvantage with waterfall. Again, time constraint. After completing of 1 or 2 years, but the product is not good or the client is not happy, again you have to spend 6 months to 1 year to rephrase or reconstruct your complete product. So that is what the biggest challenge with waterfall. And yeah, so here then comes a concept called as agile. So let me start give you one more analogy to understand agile. So someone, I asked you to construct a building, you want a base. Now if you want to construct a 13 floor building, so at a time can you construct all the 13 floors, or at a time you will give pillars for all the 13 floors? Is it how you do? Or yeah, please let me know what is the process to do this construction of 13 floor building.
One by one floor construct.
Correct. Step by step. Perfect. Step by step. We'll go step by step. Means we'll go floor by floor. First of all, we'll construct a first floor. Before that, we'll construct the base or the foundation. Then we'll go to first floor. Then we'll go to second. Then we'll go to third. Then fourth, fifth, sixth. In this way, we'll go till 13th floor. Okay. So now, why I'm talking about this? Again, it's about agile. So agile is one of the most used approach or strategy or methodology in the market right now. It is also the same. Agile goes step by step. Agile goes in, and for example, if you want to construct a 13 floor building, we will divide that into 13 parts. First part is about first floor, second part second floor, third part third floor. In this way, we can divide your complete 13 floor building into 13 parts. Now what they will do is they will give some target. We'll talk about some targets. So in this span of some time or 1 month, we have to complete the first floor. In this, what all things we have to do? Okay, next we'll go for the next floor. In the next span of next 30 days, we have to complete the next floor. Next 30 days, third floor. In this way, we will give some targets and we will understand this particular, I mean the first step. What is the step right now which we have to focus on? Okay, apart from that, even we have to focus on the next steps as well. What are the prerequisites maybe which we have to do inside this first step? For example, what is the prerequisite to construct the second floor to come, I mean while completing the first floor? What should be there in the second floor as well? No
Have
idea about it? Sorry.
have the have the first floor completed and have resources for the second.
Okay, resources are the correct, and even the pillars should be there, right? That pillar should not end in the first floor itself, right? That pillars
Yeah,
are to be taken to
you
the
keep
second
on
floor as well.
extending them. Yeah.
Yes, that's what you should have to keep on extending them once completing the first floor. Yeah, you are correct. You have to take the resources apart from that the pillars. So that's what the point is here. You have to understand what you have to carry for the next particular step. So here as well, we have this agile approach. I will just relate that particular example with this. So here we have the step-by-step manner, we call it as sprint. One step is called as sprint over here. So here sprint can be, as I told you, there are some targets. So as I told you here, if you're constructing a building, we are talking about 30 days. So here as well, sprint has some, yeah. So yeah, sprint also has some limitations regarding the days. So sprint can be of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. It depends on your organization, but in general, most of the people will use 2 weeks as a sprint. That is 14 days of time and 10 working days probably. Okay. So now this sprint, as I told you, sprint is again a step, one step of your complete process. So this sprint will be having all the steps. Like for example, here you can see on my screen, planning step, analysis, design, test, code. So again, if you talk about constructing the first floor, first of all you have to understand how you have to construct it, then which all places you have to construct, which particular components are to be placed, and then you will understand the design. Then you will go and construct that, and you will, I mean, at least you will test whether it is able to sustain or not. So that is what we do, right? So in the same way, in our IT as well, we'll do the same. So here in the sprint, we'll just complete this. I mean, whatever. If you talk about a website, so we have. If you talk about a website called as Facebook.com, let us take this example where you can easily understand this. Facebook.com is there. In this Facebook.com, there are multiple features. That, for example, you can take home screen, login screen, news feed, profiles, and pages, groups. So as such, there are multiple features which are available in Facebook.com. Now I will take only one feature, but that is home screen or login screen. I will take that login screen development in this particular first sprint. Now, once the sprint is done, I will just launch it and I will give it to the client, telling boss, I am ready with my first feature or this small component. Then immediately the client will consume it and he will just review that particular part, which are whatever you have given. Now, this giving it to your client gives an impression that you are also working on top of it. Apart from that, you will get a review comments from your client telling, so this is what I got. I mean, the website is, I mean, the component which you developed is okay, but still you can improve on this, or you can actually change this color, change this font, whatever. So the client will give you the feedback to you. So that feedback is called as continuous feedback. Why? Because after completing a first sprint, again you will start the second sprint. The second sprint also has some component to be developed, and apart from that, you will take the feedback of your first sprint and it will be included in the second sprint. Once that is done, the sprint 2, again the product will be launched to your client. So again your customer or the client will give you a feedback. Again you will go back to the third sprint. Again you will give it, I mean, after completing of third sprint, the product will be given to your client. So in this way, your client will continuously give you feedback and continuously will be interacting with you. So because of this, the client will get to know what is happening, and even you will understand what is the exact requirement of your client. So this is what one of the biggest advantage with Agile, but there are some disadvantages as well. We'll see. So whoever don't know about Agile strategy or Agile methodology, so this is a quick overview of how Agile works. So there is, remember these terms, guys. This is also important. That's where I'm just giving you a glimpse of what exactly DevOps, I mean, Agile is. So here we will talk about product backlog, sprint planning, sprint backlog. So product backlog is nothing but a list of items or list of tasks which you have to do. That is called as product backlog. Then sprint planning. First of all, we'll sit and understand for this sprint, for this 14 days of span, what all things you have to do. Sprint backlog means it's again a backup. Means, for example, if you have 4 tasks, in that you will only concentrate on 2 tasks to complete. If you can complete the 2 tasks, you'll go for the third. So in that way, we can actually plan your sprint and then we'll start the sprint. So here you can see the sprint has some sections like plan, code, test, review. These are all things we will do. And here we will be having a daily scrum. So what is this daily scrum is? Daily scrum is nothing but it's a daily call. So basically it may differ for different people, but yes, we'll be having a daily updation call. So there'll be, in that we have one master, scrum master over here, who will actually understand what is going on with you, or how your life is going on, what any blockers you have. So all these things, what is your strategy for tomorrow? So all these things will be discussed every day, so that everyone are on same page. Okay, so that's what in this particular sprint we'll be discussing about that. After completing of sprint, we'll deliver that product and the product client will review it. So this is what the flow of your Agile, guys. So remember the terms in which we will be used inside Agile, that is about product backlog, sprint planning, sprint backlog, and daily scrum, daily deliverable product review and all. So this is very important when you're talking about agile. Now the question came up. So then you're talking about all this. I know about all this. I know about waterfall. I know about agile. I am working on IT. I know that. But why are you talking about all this? Let me tell you now. So guys, just want to know one thing. I just want to confess you one thing. DevOps is nothing but it is an add-on on top of agile. Okay, if you are already working on agile, well and good, you can use DevOps easily. So again, one more question comes up. Dev, I am using waterfall model. I'm using DevOps as well. So what is that? What I don't feel that agile should be there. If you are using DevOps, probably if you are using waterfall and if you are using DevOps, means you are not completely using DevOps. You are just using the tools of DevOps. I will repeat the statement again. If you are using waterfall and if you are using DevOps, means you are just using the tools of DevOps. You are not using the you are not into the principles. You are not into the core values of DevOps. Okay. So let me tell you what are the core and what exactly DevOps means. Okay. Anyhow, I just want to ask you as well. So guys, I just want to hear from you as well. What exactly DevOps you got? I just want to again guys, I'm telling you because we are almost 6 to 7 people. Again, one after the other, if you answer it is very tough. Parallelly, can you please answer that in the chat box? What exactly DevOps is for you? Yeah, Mohammed. So this is again, we are thinking in high level. So for me, before starting DevOps, I believe that DevOps is just a programming language before starting DevOps. Okay. These are some myths which are being there. That's what I want to tell you. Programming, believe DevOps is just a programming language. DevOps is a technology. DevOps is a complete software coding thing which you have to know. And DevOps is about Jenkins. DevOps is about, so these are complete myths about DevOps. So I just want to tell you what all myths are there in the present market. So because I have heard it from my students as well. That's where I'm just informing you as well. So even for me as well, before starting DevOps almost six plus years back, I even assumed that DevOps is nothing but a programming language like Java, C, Python. It can be anything. So again, I assumed in that way. But DevOps is something else. What exactly DevOps means, as someone already told you, Dev and Ops. But let us understand this even more better. It is not about only Dev and Ops. Even let us understand this even more better with a clear understanding of a definition. Okay. So before going into that, again, someone told already it is about Dev and Ops. So Dev, by the name itself, you can know Dev and Ops. DevOps. Okay. Dev means development team, developers, plus Ops means operation. So someone who is able to manage both of them, who is the one who can actually understand what is going on with developing side, and apart from the operation side, that is called as DevOps. It is correct, but the actual definition of DevOps is something else. You have to understand it even more better. Not only Dev plus Ops, there is a core understanding of DevOps. I want to tell you one thing. DevOps is not a team. I'm repeating this point again. DevOps is not a team. It is to be inculcated. It is to be implemented in every single individual in the next coming days. Every IT professional who is there will be a DevOps engineer in future. Why? Because right now, even in the market, lot of companies and organizations are expecting this. Even though you are a Java developer, even though you are an IT or you are an administrator, they are expecting DevOps as one of your core value. Okay, so now let us go back to the definition. You can see the definition of DevOps, which I defined with my experience. DevOps is a cultural mindset change of every IT professional to improve relationship with cross-functional teams for improving collaboration and productivity by automating infrastructure and workflows. As we are talking about DevOps, so here what is the point is about? It's about cultural change. This is the important term. So basically, every DevOps engineer should understand and should go across this phase called as the mindset change or the cultural change. How? Because how you have to know what is going on from the end to end, means from development phase to your deployment phase. So from end to end, as an DevOps engineer, you have to understand it. Even apart from that, you have to understand the mindsets of different teams as well. Like it can be development team, it can be your testing team, it can be your release team, it can be the mid-level or the admin team. So it can be anything. So you have to understand the mindset or the, and I mean how the cultures of different teams are, and accordingly you have to define your own way of doing the end-to-end process. That is what a DevOps engineer's core value is. First core value, and he has to have the mindset, and even he should be cultivating one culture that in our agile, basically what happens is most of the cases developers will be working on development part, and they will give it to, once the agile or the one sprint is completed, that will be given to your next team, that is testing team. They will test, then they will give it to the production or release. I'm giving it an overview, guys, I'm not going deep. Okay, so now in this point what is happening is, here developers within span of 14 days of the sprint, they will develop the product and they will give it to the next team. But sometimes, some because of some urgency of or submitting your particular code in the in that span, what they will do is, they will someday they will actually manually do some task without using any logic and all. They will actually place it inside our environments without knowing. They will send it to the next environment. So now next environment will test it, it will work fine. Now testing environment is done, now it will go to the production. Whenever this particular code which is being manually or hard coded is being placed inside a production, it will throw errors. It will throw errors, and there are a lot of bugs in that particular code, or it may lead to sometimes even the complete production instance will be completely go down because of it. So I have seen a lot of instances as such. Developers just make it quick so that they have to complete it. They will use some, I mean, they will use some back-end mechanisms where they will just hard code the values, or they'll hard code any feature or something, but it will work in their environment, but coming to the production, it may not work. So what happens over here is, because of this, there will be a clash between your development team and the release team. The release team or the deployment team will tell that, boss, this is your code and you have given it wrong, and this is not working in production. Because of that, the client is not happy. So then development team or the other teams will tell that it is not our mistake. It is working in our environment. It's not working in your environment. That means it's your mistake. It's not my mistake. So that is what there is always this fight or this particular conversation between this development team and the release team. So this may lead to the inefficiency, and this may lead to the client may not be happy with whatever you are doing. So from this only DevOps came into picture. So now DevOps is a mindset or a cultural change every individual should be having from end to end. For example, as someone told already, as a DevOps engineer, you should be understanding how from development that particular thing should be placed on top of production. How the code from development team should be placed on production without any flaws, without any bugs. So how you can do it? You can do it using automation. Okay, there are a lot of tools which you can automate, and you can use that automation to deploy your code on top of production. Okay, so these tools are called as DevOps tools. So now, as a DevOps engineer, as I already told you, you may ask me, DevOps engineer, you told DevOps engineer is every IT professional is going to be DevOps engineer. How he is going to be? Yes, in future, what is going to happen is, even though you work for managerial, or you're a manager, or you're a developer, you are a tester, you are an admin, whoever you are, you should be understanding DevOps as well, and you have to implement. You should be implementing DevOps as well in your own area. For example, if you're talking about, if you're a tester, there is a tool called as Selenium. Okay, if you are towards admin, towards the release side, you can use some infrastructure tools such as Kubernetes, OpenShift. So these are the separate tools, but how you can deploy on top of Kubernetes, how you can use this tool called as Selenium, how you can fit your tools inside the complete life cycle. That is what a DevOps engineer should do. So here again, cross-functional means, as a DevOps engineer, you have to sit and understand which part. I mean, all your teams over there. Even though it can be testing, it can be deployment. So even whichever team you want, you have to quickly connect with them so that you can understand what is happening. So now as a DevOps engineer, you have to first of all learn what all tools are there in every particular phase. So for example, as a DevOps engineer, you don't know how to build your code. You are an administrator now. As an administrator, you don't know how the code is being built. So for that, there are some build tools. Even apart from that, how this automation is done, how this automation, or how this setup is done, how the flow is being set. There is a tool called as Jenkins, that is called as CI/CD tool. I will talk about that. Yes, and apart from that, if you are only a developer, you only know how to push your code and how to build it. That's it from your probably IDE, and you don't know how to deploy it. You will just deploy it inside your server, and you will just test it, but you don't know how to deploy it on top of a actual server. So now then comes the tools such as Tomcat or even Nginx. Even if you talk about in different environments, you will talk about Kubernetes. So you have to understand what they are and how they works. So because of this understanding of what they are and how they are working, you may get the actual picture of what exactly went wrong, what may exactly went wrong. For example, you already know about Kubernetes, how Kubernetes works, at least not in a deep understanding of Kubernetes. At least you know how Kubernetes works. Even though you're a developer, you know how Kubernetes works. Even though you're an admin, how the build works. Now what is happening? You already got some idea of what is happening towards the development team. Now let us again break down into two parts. One is development and operations. Operations means let us consider them as admins. A development team, they will only do the build part. They will write the code and they will build. Now if an administrator know how you can build a code, if a developer know how it will be deployed on top of production or somewhere, so that understanding will be to the next level. Means even developer will understand what all problems people face while deploying the code. Even as an administrator, you will also get to know what all what all developers face when they are building the code. So this will be a mutual understanding, and that particular thing will actually improve the relationship between these two teams. Because of that, even a developer will assume or understand how the code can be deployed, and according to that, he will use or he will implement the code. In the same way, whenever you are going for deployment, the admin guys or the release team guys will understand how the build goes. So because of that, they will also make it even more easy, and they will make the infrastructure in such a way that that particular build will be succeeded on top of infrastructures. So as I told you, DevOps in an overall view, it is not a team. It is a general, it is something which every individual should understand. Apart from that, one more thing I have to include, that is about, you may be a you may be a developer, but you should understand DevOps, and that can lead you to DevOps engineer as well. You should know how to write the end-to-end flow of DevOps. So that makes you DevOps engineer, but only in your team. For example, in development team, you are there and you are working on Java, or you are working on some programming language, but you know DevOps. It makes you DevOps engineer. Apart from that, your specialization will be on Java. In the same way, you are an admin team. You know you are working on DevOps end-to-end pipeline, and you know that your specialization is administration or admin team. In the same way, testing. You are working on the end-to-end flow of DevOps, and your specialization is testing. So right now, if you see the market as well, if you see the job openings of lot of companies, the same thing is happening. If you see any organization's requirement, they will ask you Java developer with DevOps experience, administrator with DevOps experience. The same thing is happening in the market as well. That's what DevOps is not a separate team. Every IT professional is going to understand this DevOps, and they are going to implement this DevOps in their organizations, in their teams. So is it clear, guys, what I'm trying to tell? Please let me know if you have any questions in the chat box, guys, because as I told you, we should not disturb all the stuff. So please ask me if you have any questions in the chat box. Yes, guys. So this is that, as I told you, this is what the definition of DevOps is. Every individual, as even though he is talking about Oracle database, still he can use DevOps in their organization, in that place. Okay. So now, next question is about what are the brands right now using? You can already see a lot of companies in that. One of the most biggest companies are like NASA and Facebook, LinkedIn, Netflix, Apple, Walmart, Azure, AWS, Google, Adobe. So these are the big giants, big giants which are already into DevOps. They already implement DevOps in even in the small teams. So next question is about who can learn DevOps. So this question is being asked by multiple students from me. I mean, for this, basically, I have only one answer. That is about, even though you don't have any experience in IT, even though you are in from management side, right now people are expecting DevOps in you. So even though, as I told you, even though you are in a technology of outdated technologies, you are non-IT, having no experience in coding, it is fine. You can learn DevOps from scratch. Okay, DevOps is no related. There is no relation with coding and all. DevOps is separate. It is a separate base. So now again, you may assume that now, I mean, Dev, you are talking about without having any experience of IT, how you can learn. So in my course, I am going to give you some additional benefits. Even though you are from non-IT, that makes more sense for you. It will actually make you understand what is happening in the market and how you can cope up. So for that, you can see on my screen what all tools we are going to discuss. In that, we are going to discuss about the most, if you are non from IT, probably this might help you. So Linux, shell scripting, and Python scripting. So these three are the add-ons which I am going to provide you, so that even though you are from non-IT, that makes you at least cope up with what exactly the market requires. So now again, Python is one of the most used scripting language right now. It is an old tool or old technology, but still again, people came into Python. Even in other technologies such as data science, artificial intelligence, people are looking into Python. So here again, Python makes one more add-on, I mean, one more additional feature for you, so that you can easily cope up with the market. Even you don't know about coding as well, you can learn scripting from here. So it is not about coding, it is about scripting. There is a difference between scripting and coding. Okay, so apart from that, we'll be discussing about Linux commands. What I mean, even though you're working in Windows background, we will be understanding how Linux works. What are the commands inside Linux? How you can actually do the things which you're doing in UI inside Linux. So all these things will be discussed in the Linux. And shell scripting is something which you can do from Linux commands itself. Shell scripting, you can automate small tasks using shell scripting of Linux. So these are three add-ons which are been there. And apart from that, you can see almost 11 plus tools which are been there. That is about version control, Git. These two tools are the development tools, guys. This can be used inside a development team, Git and Maven. So again, these tools are the tool set which I have written. All these are the most used tools in the market. That is where my curriculum is being made in such a way that these are the most used tools. So here we'll be talking about Git, and we'll be talking about Maven. Maven is a build tool, and apart from that, we'll be talking about Jenkins. Jenkins is called a CI/CD tool. We'll be talking about how Jenkins works and all. And we'll be talking about SonarQube. SonarQube is one add-on which my course has. No one else in the market has regarding SonarQube. SonarQube is going to be one of the biggest asset for a lot of companies in the next coming 5 years, because SonarQube is so smart, even it can reduce a lot of effort for you. So I actually experienced this even with my clients as well. They loved this tool. We have explored a lot regarding the SonarQube, and we understood that the SonarQube is going to be one of the next gen smart tools. Okay, what this SonarQube will do is it will just identify your bugs automatically, and even it can give you solutions as well, how to resolve them. Even apart from that, it will tell you how the code should be, what are the standards of code. Even though you have 10,000 lines of code, it can actually detect all these things. It can detect the standards of code, it can detect the bugs, all the additional, all a person can do. It can do it within fraction of seconds or fraction of minutes. So that is what the smartness of SonarQube. So that is why I included this SonarQube, which you will not get in the market. Apart from that, we'll understand that some theory of how Selenium works. It's not, we are not going into Selenium, because Selenium is a separate concept again. That we have to understand it separately. If you are working in testing team, then you can learn Selenium separately. That's what I can suggest you. and we'll be understanding about Docker installation, Docker hands-on in our session. Apart from that, we'll understand Docker networking and Swarm. Kubernetes, Kubernetes is one of the biggest asset. It is also going to be, it's already in the market. It has a lot of buzz, and Kubernetes is one of the most used tools when we are talking about infrastructure tools. So here, Kubernetes is an open source. So we are not going to touch hands-on of Kubernetes because we need a lot of infrastructure for that. We need high-end machines and installation of Kubernetes. This requires a lot of cost is incurred in this, and that's what I will be explaining you how Kubernetes works. Whatever I have, I already experienced a few commands and all. I will be showing you screenshots how it works and all. Apart from that, we'll see the infrastructure of Kubernetes, how the infrastructure of Kubernetes is, and you can understand this Kubernetes in a very with ease. So whenever after understanding a Kubernetes architecture, you will, and from the next day probably, if you see anywhere about Kubernetes, you will definitely can understand what is going inside Kubernetes. That ease will going to explain the architecture and some important components inside Kubernetes. And next is about Puppet and Ansible. So here we'll be understanding about Puppet with hands-on with some examples. Ansible as well. Ansible is the most used infrastructure as code tool. We will be going inside Ansible as well. Apart from that, on a complete overview, I will take AWS only. So you may ask me one question again. We are going to install all these tools on my machine. Or is my machine capable enough to actually handle all these tools? I say no. For that only, we are going to use AWS free account. There is a free tier account of 12 months of AWS. So we are going to use that account, and we are going to use the machines or the services or the resources which are being provided by the free tier account of AWS. So that AWS free tier account gives you some resources such as EC2 instance, which is a server. So that is one of the major thing which we can focus on, and we can use that EC2 instance, and we can implement all these tools on top of that EC2 instance. We'll talk about this even more better in the next coming classes. We'll see how we can use EC2, how we can do this. So no need of installing anything on your machines except one tool. I will tell you what is that tool as well. That is called as Git Bash. We'll go for the next class regarding installation of Git Bash and all. That is okay. But yes, for your understanding, no need of having a high-end machines with you. It's okay. Even though your laptop is 1 GB or 2 GB, it's okay, because we are not going to install anything on top of your laptop or on top of your infrastructure. One more advantage is about, maybe you're a working professional and you have a laptop of your office, right? So I have seen this with my old students. So now what happens if it's an office laptop? You will not be having permissions to do all the stuff. You will be not an admin probably. So because of that, there will be a security issue, and even you will not be allowed to do or install anything on top of it. Even that violates your security policies as well. That's the biggest flaw or here. So I don't want to disturb your working environment as well. So for that only, we will be doing everything on top of AC2 or AWS. So don't worry about it. We will be actually using all these tools on top of AWS. So there will be no disturbance to your working environments. And apart from that, with our this will take 45 hours, guys. So I'm talking about hours. It's not about days. Even though sometimes we can take some additional hours or additional classes so that we can cover up even more faster. So now, in this particular span of 45 hours, we will be seeing 4 real-time projects and real-time problem statements and interview questions as well. We'll be going topic by topic. At that moment, I will be telling which kind of interview questions you may get, how you have to answer this. So how you have to reflect immediately. So these 4 real-time projects are the ones which we do for the clients as well. So in this, basically, the 3 are the mini projects, and 1 is the major project, which we will do at the last. Once we complete the complete DevOps, we'll do an end-to-end flow. Means once the code is ready, we'll use Git to clone, or to store the code, Maven to build, Jenkins to do the automation, SonarQube is to do the quality check. Then it will use Docker to create environments, and it will use Puppet or Ansible to deploy the code on top of different environments. So we'll see the end-to-end flow. That is our last project, which we are going to do at the last. I mean, I will not do it. I'm telling you, these projects, I will not do it. I will make you to do. I will make you to do. It is not about me. I will make you to do. That is how I go further in my classes. And yes, this is what the course overview is. Any other questions regarding this?
Yeah, I have one question. So I already have a AWS account, and I think it's a above 1 year. So now, if I use it again, will there be any cost using the account?
It's okay. We can create a new account, Jesh, probably. Start later. I actually suggest you to start it fresh.
Sure.
If you want, you can use the account as well, but I recommend you to go for a fresh account so that it will be again, it will be for you as well. It will be useless for you because you will not mess up with the old stuff and all.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. And one more question, configuration management tool is the Puppet. So if I use Puppet, is that similar to the Terraform, or in terms of configuration, or is it different kind of tool?
See, one thing I have to tell you regarding the tools. I mean, whatever tools you are seeing on the screen, they are just around not even 10% of, not even 10%, 10% of what are there in the what are DevOps tools. So DevOps tools are around 200 plus. Okay, I will show you one chart. Probably you will get it. So here again, it is not about which. Yes, guys. So okay, so here you can see, guys, this is called as DevOps periodic table. This periodic table has around 200 plus tools on top of it. So it is not about which tool you are going to use. It is about how you are going to use. That is important. So for example, he asked a question that now Puppet is there. Can I how I will learn about Terraform? It's very simple. Your answer for your question, even though you work on Puppet, you know about Ansible, it will be very easy for you to understand the other configuration management tools because they will be having common way of doing things. How? Now if you know about Ansible or Puppet, when you go for other tools, you will easily understand what is going inside them. But you will take around 1 week of time to understand the terms. So here the terms will be a little bit different. For example, if you're talking about Puppet, we call it as manifests and modules. When you're going for Ansible, we call it as playbooks. When we are going for Chef, we call it as cookbooks. So in this way, the terms will be a little bit different, but the intent of using them is always same. Okay, so you may, that's for question, for your question, it's very simple. Even though you go for other tools, the intent of using the tools is always same. So it will be easy for you to learn other tools as well. In the same way, if you're talking about Jenkins, there is Azure DevOps is there, AWS DevOps is there, and even Bamboo is there, TeamCity. So these are the alternative tools for Jenkins. If you know Jenkins, the other tools are very easy for you. That's what I can actually tell you. We cannot discuss all these 200 plus tools, and even no one will work on all these 200 plus tools in real time as well.
Can you go back to the last slide?
Go for the.
Go back to the last slide where you had all this different. This one. Can you just give me like one liner for what is Git, what is Maven, what is Jenkins? But these are very deep subjects in their own. A Puppet or Ansible, Docker. These are all icebergs. You have to learn them. Now let's say I'm an Oracle developer. So how do these tools help me as a developer?
What do you do in daily what is your roles and responsibilities in your daily routine?
I created a custom program for Oracle.
In which language?
Or anything, for example, let's say Java.
Okay.
I created
Java. Good.
I got to create an
Good.
application. What will Git do there? What will Maven do there? What will Jenkins? Just give me a high level one line.
Yeah, sure. So Git is, I will give you one line. If you can take it, you can easily take it. So Git is an basically a code repository or a code base. You can store your code. This is one liner of Git. Maven is a build tool which you can build your Java program, which can generate a package out of your code. For example, if you are using a jar, your output should be a jar. So you will write one logic. Even war you may know if you are working on Java. So you will get output of war. So that build, that packaging thing we can do using the build tool called as Maven. Jenkins, you can automate the whole process. So end to end, as I'm talking about end to end from the starting, we can automate the process of end to end. We call it as CI/CD. So continuous integration, continuous deployment using Jenkins.
Here, I have a
Okay.
question. Jenkins will help you install the program, like
No.
let's say
No. It is not about installing the program.
Let's say we have a change management. The developers created a program. So what will Jenkins do with it?
That's what I'm telling you. It will do continuous integration. It means what it will do is, in normal terms, it will integrate the tools. For example, you're talking about Git separately, Maven separately, Puppet separately, Ansible separately, Docker separately. So now what Jenkins will do is Jenkins will integrate all these tools and it will create an automation. Only what you can do is you can only push your code. Once you have done pushing, your code is done. Immediately Jenkins will pick up the code and it will actually do the remaining process of building, and even it will automate the process. That's what I'm telling you. It will automate the step-by-step process which you are going to do it manually.
It'll remove all the problems. If it has a problem, then it'll give an exception of some kind. Huh?
Yes, exactly. It will show you what went wrong and which page it went wrong, how you can resolve it. All this stuff will be there. So that's what we are going to see in the course: the problem statement, the real-time problem statements, and how we can resolve them. And yes, how actually Jenkins will give you some hints. For the problem statements and all.
So that means the DevOps is for developers.
Even Kubernetes is,
how to push
it's not, that's what I'm telling you. Even though if you are seeing in a view of developer, it will be for development team. If you are seeing in a view of operations team, it will be for operations team as well. If you're talking about Puppet, Ansible, and even if you're talking about infrastructure as code, that means it is towards operations as well, testing team as well. So it's not about it's not restrained or constrained to one particular team.
So what I'm seeing over here is that a developer develops a code, and all these things help it to go to production. That's one. Now the other thing you are saying is that it could be for administrators also. Let's say a Postgres DBA. So how does it help the Postgres DB? Just to give me an idea.
What is the roles and responsibilities of Postgres DBA?
Database administrator DBA, like an Oracle DBA. He has to. He's a gatekeeper to the Oracle database.
Okay.
So how does this, let's say, help the DBA to be a DevOps?
Again, the question is, roles means in specific. It is, I know that administrator means administrator, but exactly he will do some other tasks, right? What all tasks he do in a daily routine?
He generally nowadays the developers created say application, they test it, and then they tell the database administrators, so please these are the steps, please install the same thing in production. Let's say ABC is test, DEF is production, same kind of environment, so please put it in production. So the database DBA's job is to do the same thing what the developer did to run it in that product. The developer is saying, I assure you everything is fine, just put it in the production. Now, as a DBA, we don't do any development. How does this? What's my job as a DevOps DBA, as in the DevOps? Because same thing is being done by the programmer. Programmer is pushing it into production. What's my job?
Again, your job, the programmers, again you are getting a conflict between the points. So very simple. I mean, don't think it in a complex way, but developers can focus on, I mean, cannot do this production until unless the DBA or an manager or a lead is there in the team. So developers cannot push it directly to production, right? So we will make a pipeline that it will go till production, but there is always a person or someone who is controlling on top of all this. Even though you are a DBA, as you told, whatever is being done on top of a development side should be replicated on top of production. So here also the same, you will do this, you will replicate the same what is happening. You will write a pipeline or you will write a logic over there in the production instance or a production side, whatever is been happening over there in the development phase. So it's not developer who is pushing towards production, so he will just push the code. But as a DBA or as a team lead or someone as a senior DevOps engineer or an architect probably, so you will be responsible for placing that on top of production. So now how you can place it? Again, Jenkins. So DBA is, you told about, you will be replicating the same whatever developers do. In the same way, you can automate that as well. You can automate using some Jenkins tools. You can use one such, there are some plugins for even database as well. So you can use the data plugins inside Jenkins, and you can automate that process as well, whatever you do in your real time or in your daily routine.
So let me say that there's a workflow where everybody, one guy sends it at point B, the manager says it's okay, then sends it to the production manager. Production manager says okay, and then it goes to the DBA. He says okay, and then it gets deployed. Is there something
Yes.
like that?
Yes, you can actually even make this flow automated using Jenkins. There are, for example, there are some, even not only Git, Maven and all, there are a lot of plugins available in Jenkins. You can use a database, whatever, whichever tool you want, you can just integrate using this Jenkins.
Okay. Thanks.
Whatever flow you talked about, right? You can actually automate that. You can ask whenever the first step is done, you can send a mail to your manager telling, boss, can you please approve this? Once he approves this, it will go to the next step. So all these things you will not do it manually. I mean, here you can do it automated, or you can skip some reviews as well sometimes. So you can make this particular flow automated using DevOps tools.
Okay, so Dev,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the Docker and Kubernetes, is it also open source?
Yes, Docker is open source. Kubernetes is also open source.
So are there any companies providing support? For example, Hadoop is
support
also,
means what? Support means, I mean, for the tools you want support?
so Hadoop is also open source, right? But it is provided by two companies like Cloudera and Hortonworks. So they take
Okay,
the
so
Hadoop,
Kubernetes is handled by Google. Okay, Docker is having its own organization as well.
Okay, no, my question is, see, Hadoop is also open source, okay? So, but in the corporations, when they implement Hadoop, they get it from either two companies, Cloudera or Hortonworks. So basically what Cloudera and Hortonworks, they do is they take the open source Hadoop and they do some extra enhancements, and they, if there are any issues in the software, they provide the support. So what are the companies that provide support for Docker and Kubernetes? Like, is there anything
So
like
again,
that?
Docker and Kubernetes are something. Docker is a subset of Kubernetes now. So you can take up, if you want and support, you want a specific support and all. There is one tool called as OpenShift. Okay, OpenShift is being provided by Red Hat. Okay, that actually provides you more support, whatever you are expecting. Okay, that actually is advanced to Kubernetes.
Okay, so they need to pay for Red Hat for the support, right? Like, I mean,
Red Hat is a company which actually provides that. Sorry,
I'm not talking about the installation on our in the AWS or anything. Like, I'm just talking about the how it is implemented in the corporate level. Like,
again, I'm telling you that. I mean, Red Hat OpenShift is a tool. It is a licensed tool. you will be provided to Red Hat. I mean, Red Hat is the company who actually provides it. It's not about installation and all. They will be providing support for this Red Hat. Red Hat is the team who works on OpenShift. So I even interacted with the direct team of Red Hat who actually developed it.
Oh,
So
okay.
they even gave,
Got it.
okay, got it?
Yeah.
My question is, it's actually kind of getting late. I do like the slide that you showed. 70-80% I am familiar with it. There are some tools that I am not, like one is Maven and the other one is Snow something you showed,
SonarQube.
SonarQube, right? My question is, these 45 hours, how are you going to utilize? What is the format? What's your approach? Because everybody is locked on from different time zones. I mean, we still have to get back to work tomorrow morning. I in my case. So how do you plan on doing weekdays, weekends? How are you going to break this down?
Yeah, same. I mean, the time will be same, guys. The morning, what, 7 to 8 probably, but we extended till 45 minutes now. I just want to close the session, but yes, I'm waiting for your question and answers. I thought of even doing one small POC, but it doesn't happen. Yeah, guys. So that's what. Even from morning 7 to 8, we'll be there. If additional class and all, we'll be thinking about it. Like we'll be as a team, we'll sit and understand how it goes. Whether we can connect in weekend, how and what time exactly, which can be the common time for everyone, so that everyone will be on the same page. Even I think we'll get some recordings as well for you, which actually makes you even more. I mean, even though you miss the class, you can actually cope up again back by getting the recordings. So that is also possible.